Our second guest of the day on this Friday game day at LaVell Edwards Stadium is the play-by-play voice of the Cincinnati Bearcats, Dan Hoard. He joins us on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline. Dan, nice to have you with us on BYU Sports Nation.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
You sent a tweet to ESPN's Adam Amin with a picture of the BYU pronunciation guide. It's a gauntlet, so we're here for you, Dan. Can we offer you any assistance?
Let's see. Laulu Pututau?
Yeah.
How's that?
Laulu Pututau.
Yeah, you got it. Good.
That's pretty good.
Some people call him MLP.
I'm just starting from the very top with number one, so I've still got a few hours to memorize, but it has been challenging. Now, fortunately, I'm on Cincinnati radio, so my audience is not going to know anything about BYU. So if I butcher them, I'm really not going to get into any trouble, but I will try my best to get them right.
Now, the last time you came to Utah, there was a little bit of trouble. I guess your analyst got kicked out of the Huntsman Center in Salt Lake for an NCAA tournament game. What happened there?
Yeah, that is exactly right. With approximately 16 minutes to go in a first-round NCAA tournament game against Gonzaga, our coach at the time, Bob Huggins, got kicked out, and the official that gave him the heave-ho just happened to put the ball in bounds right in front of our broadcast location maybe 30 seconds later. So my color analyst, who disagreed with the ejection of our coach, did what a broadcaster should never do. He removed his headphones. He stood up on press row where approximately 300 media members were sitting and more or less put his finger in the official's face and began telling him how lousy he was. The official took it for a little while, then turned slightly to his side and said, "Buddy, keep it up, and I will toss you out as well." And he kept it up, and that's exactly what happened. So my partner, Chuck Mashock, has the distinction of being the only announcer in NCAA tournament history to get kicked out of the game.
That is an unbelievable story. I don't know how you kept your composure after something like that.
Well, I just wanted to know why I didn't get a double paycheck since I did the final 16 minutes alone. But I will tell you this, Chuck remains my partner and my very good friend. And at the end of every Cincinnati basketball broadcast, I conclude our broadcasts with the following line. And for my partner, Chuck Mashock, who tonight successfully extended his consecutive game streak without being kicked out, 2, and then I update the number. So it's currently 399 in case you're interested.
Ooh, oh, that's
almost
fantastic.
to 400. That's pretty good.
Dan Hoard.
We will be. Yeah, we'll begin the season with number 400 this year.
Oh, well, what a great way to start. Play-by-play voice of Cincinnati, 2014 Ohio Sportscaster of the Year, Dan Hoard, with us on BYU Sports Nation. The Bearcats are doing a walk-around on the field behind us at LaVell Edwards Stadium as we speak.
They're practicing fake punts. No, I'm just kidding.
With that in mind, what is the number one strength of this Cincinnati football team, Dan?
The offense, 5th in the country in total yards, 16th in the country in scoring. They will move it up and down the field against anybody. The problem is they've turned it over too much. They are among the national leaders in times that they've turned it over, and I think they're dead last in turnover ratio. Not only have they turned it over, but they're not getting them very often on defense. So that's the reason why they've lost 2 games. If they had held on to the ball better, they would come here undefeated.
I think that Cincinnati's a really good team. I look at the schedule that the Bearcats have played. 3-2, the 2 losses are to undefeated teams in Temple and Memphis. Memphis was a shootout. You're a play away from probably winning that one. And then you look at the 2 quarterbacks. Do you expect Hayden Moore to be the starter tonight or Gunnar Kiel?
Honestly, I don't know. I can tell you that the starting quarterback was informed last night that he has the job. But that information has not been shared with me yet. So I honestly don't know whether it will be Gunnar Kiel or Hayden Moore tonight. Coach Tuberville evaluated the 2 during practice this week. Gunnar Kiel got medical clearance to return to the lineup on Sunday. So I am as interested as anybody to find out which of those 2 will be the starter tonight.
Who do fans want to start at quarterback for the Bearcats?
That's a hard question to answer. I guess if there were a poll of Cincinnati fans, my guess is it might come out slightly in favor of Hayden Moore, only because the last time they saw him, he led Cincinnati to a dramatic victory over the Miami Hurricanes, which is probably the best win of the Coach Tuberville era. But having said that, Gunnar Kiel was amazing last year. He tied the school record with 31 touchdown passes. He set an NCAA record with 6 touchdown passes in his first college game. So Hayden Moore has been so good the last 2 games for Cincinnati that I think some folks have conveniently forgotten just how great Gunnar Kiel was last year.
What sticks out about BYU as you prepare for this game?
Well, I see a team that's a little bit similar to Cincinnati. Certainly the offense is formidable. You can throw out that Michigan game now since nobody has scored the last 3 weeks against the Wolverines. I mean, that's incredible. 3 straight shutouts in college football, that seems impossible to me. But as I look at the other games that BYU has played, the score seems similar to the Cincinnati games, to tell you the truth, particularly last week's game against ECU.
Dan Hoard, play-by-play voice of the Cincinnati Bearcats, with us on BYU Sports Nation. Let's talk about the head ball coach at Cincinnati. What kind of change has Tommy Tuberville brought to this Cincinnati program?
Well, Tommy Tuberville is the most accomplished coach ever to come to the University of Cincinnati in any sport. We've had some great ones, but typically in the past they came from smaller schools and then used Cincinnati as a stepping stone to a bigger job. It's happened to the last 3 football coaches. Mark D'Antonio, 3 years at Cincinnati, on to Michigan State. Brian Kelly, 3 years at Cincinnati, on to Notre Dame. Butch Jones, 3 years at Cincinnati, on to Tennessee. So we've had some great ones, but they came from a smaller place and then moved on to a major college football power. In Tommy Tuberville's case, he's been to the top of the mountain place. He spent 10 years at Auburn. He was a head coach at Ole Miss. Most recently, a head coach at Texas Tech before Cincinnati. So it was a real coup for the Cincinnati administration to lure Tommy Tuberville to be the head coach of the Bearcats. I would say since he's been here, the biggest change that I've noticed is just the emphasis on recruiting. I guess from the time that he spent in the SEC at Ole Miss and Auburn, he knows that to compete at the highest level, you've got to go out and get great players. And he's doing it. Recruiting has never been better since Coach Tuberville has been here.
Dan, what do you expect to happen tonight between BYU and Cincinnati?
I expect there to be a lot of scoring both ways, to tell you the truth. I'd like to be able to say that I think Cincinnati can hold BYU in the 20s like the Bearcats did in their last game against Miami, but I just don't see that being the case. I think both offenses are too formidable. I think both defenses have some young players that are still figuring out what they're doing out there. So, honestly, I expect both teams to probably score 30-plus.
Dan, great to have you with us on BYU Sports Nation. I assure you that the folks at LaVell Edwards Stadium will treat you kindly, and nobody will be escorting anyone out of that press box.
I will let my broadcast partner, Jim Kelly Jr., know that. He'll be happy to hear that he will not join my basketball partner in getting to Evo.
Great to talk to you. Have a great call tonight.